Yeah, guys, speaking of loss leaders and Disney, let's talk a little bit about Ant-Man and how it may have lost Disney $125 million. So we have this article from Bounding into Comics where they basically break down a video from the great YouTuber um, Valiant Renegade. And basically, Valiant Renegade kind of goes through the numbers. He pulls an Odin here and basically says that the film had a reported production budget of about 200 million plus 150 million for advertising. And out of all the box offices that it took in, both domestically and foreign, it only brought in about 150 million or so. And it's been getting completely lambasted in terms of the reviews. I haven't even bothered to watch this movie yet, but everyone I know who has says it's like one of the worst Marvel movies they've ever seen, coming off of a string of very big Marvel flops. So I wanted to throw this to Odin first. Odin, what's your take on Ant-Man, and do you think Valiant Renegade's analysis is correct?
Well, we have very different. I was messaging with him the other day because we have very different philosophies. And I know many people view mine as more of like an antiquated pre-pandemic model because streaming, of course, has changed so many of these dynamics. But again, I really go off the numbers that I have because when I worked at a theater, I was able to talk to my GM and I was able to get, okay, how much do we actually get per ticket? And I was able to get that type of information. And that's a lot of what I was able to use the analysis that I've been using for years on. But yeah, basically, even in the best case scenario, like I will even admit this much saying, okay, let's assume that my numbers are a best case scenario. It lost 15 million. And that's still bad. Like if you don't even make your money back in a best case scenario, that's awful. And I think that it's more than likely, that it lost upwards of $100 million. And so I think Valiant's absolutely right on that one. Just again, because of his mentioning of the report coming out after the fact that their budget for their marketing actually ended up being higher than what a typical budget for a movie like that would be. So yeah, it would not surprise me whatsoever if it lost $100+ million at this point.
So when they calculate this stuff, when you guys do this, you have to take into account what, like the amount of money that the studios get back from the theaters and marketing, and I mean, what goes into figuring out how much these things are going to make, Odin? So
there's two methods to do it. One, you can do it through just individual markets. So you could look just at the North American market and try to figure out the way in which you get the numbers from that. I know that Valiant has done a great job diving into the tax reports from like AMC and other theaters that actually release that information to see how much money they actually get. Again, the model that I use has it about a 60-40 split, right? That the studios get about 60% of the 50-50 of a split, especially post-COVID and higher in streaming. So yeah, in general, there is about roughly a 50-50 plus split between both of them. And if anyone's going to get more, it's going to be the studios, because obviously the studios are the ones making the movie, and so they tend to have a better deal on that one. But usually it's actually even worse because in the first 2 weeks typically of their release, they end up getting a crap ton more back. And that's one of the deals they make with their theaters is, hey, we'll get a lot more up front, but then as it goes further out, you'll get a lot more. And so if we put out a really good movie, it's going to end up being good for your long run. And even though you're not getting a lot per ticket now, hey, you're still getting box off. You're still getting, popcorn sales and all that stuff's marked up. And the reason why it's marked up so much is because that's where they get their money. They don't get money really from ticket sales in comparison. So
do these properties, do these movies and stuff, like, do they ever take into account how much money they make after their release run? It's like, I mean, they're still making money on like the first Iron Man movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but home video doesn't make what it used to, right?
Yeah.
And streaming has cannibalized that market. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard to track after a certain time. Like, you'll even notice sites like The Numbers, for instance, they'll track the physical media like performance for a little bit, but then after a while it becomes very hard, because then also you have to take into account, would you count movies that are sold on, second release, right? So technically it was bought for twice, because obviously the second time doesn't go back to the actual studio itself.
But for instance, like The Lion King made almost as much or just as much money on home video at that time than it did in theaters. But nowadays a movie's lucky to bring in, if a movie makes $100 million on video, that's a huge hit.
Yeah.
on
So
video.
let me ask this question really quick.
Whoa, hold on,
Go
hold on a
ahead.
sec, real quick. So from Adam Berger, the fuck is this? The hair club for men?
Yeah.
The no hair club for men.
Yeah, this is the no hair club for men, the beard club for men.
But there is one point to Odin. What he was saying is about the release date thing and the whole, because normally they do get like a 60-40, or in some cases Disney and George Lucas and others have finagled even 70 splits for the opening 2 weekends or whatever. Here's the thing that's happening now though with the whole video on demand and putting movies out sooner. Like for instance, Ant-Man hit streaming 30 some days, 35, it hit the 35-day window and it hit up video on demand. That means they forfeited whatever extra percentages they got in those first few weekends. That's the way these deals work now. If they pull a movie before 45 days, then if they had a 60-40 or a 70-30 split those first 2 weekends, they forfeit that now. It's 50-50.
Well, there's also, like, I've noticed.
So that's money that's not coming in either.
I've noticed that within like a week or two of a movie release now, it's available on streaming. I want to go to Richard Fox before I get Tom's take on this. Richard, as a writer, a lot of these, especially the Marvel movies, have seen a significant decline in quality in terms of like storytelling. We know for Ant-Man that it was a completely different movie on release than when it was first shot. Like they went through a great deal of reshoots to kind of like make it jokier or something like that. What's your take on the current state of Marvel? Why do you think the storytelling has declined so much?
That's a good question. And I think when I saw Ant-Man, my first thought was, oh, this is Flash Gordon with better graphics, or for the kids today, oh, it's just an isekai movie where you have where they have their main character put into a new place. And I think with Ant-Man, the problem is that it was never meant to be an Ant-Man movie. They just said, well, we have to introduce Kang, the new big bad, somehow. And then somebody had the idea, like, and then they decided to shoehorn him into the quantum realm, which didn't make any sense. And the thing with Ant-Man is, like, it didn't have to be Ant-Man. You could have put almost any other superhero in the exact same situation, and he could have gone through the exact same plot line. So the reason why Ant-Man is not good is because people like Ant-Man because it's miniature guy in our modern world. And now you have this miniature guy in a miniature world, and all of it was just generic and not at all interesting. So I think that's one of the problems. And then also when it comes to some of the things with why these movies aren't as well done, I think there's a problem where people just don't say no to bad ideas. I think somehow like some writer will be like, oh, and then I want to do this, which is totally against the character. But everyone who can say no doesn't want to say no because they're afraid of somehow offending whoever has made this awful suggestion.
Richard, and they have to somehow balance it though, because they need their strong ESG score, and they need fans to watch. And unfortunately, you can't have both those things. So it's got to be this weird juggling act.
Yeah, I mean, every time you try to put in, well, let's have some ESG considerations, you are now making the movie ESG, and it's not about entertainment anymore.
Right.
And every time they make that decision, like, we're not going to do this entertaining thing. We're going to do this other thing to make sure that people on Twitter are happy with us. And every time you do that, the audience feels it. And every time the audience is like, I'm checking out. And then the audience doesn't recommend the movie to their friends. And then all of a sudden you get these bigger and bigger drop-offs from week after week because people are going, was it worth going to see? No, it was boring. And they had all this other crap I didn't care for. And then the person they're talking to is like, I don't want to go see that. And then they don't go see that. And so all of a sudden, instead of having like great movies that people really enjoy, then you don't have pulled pork. And so is all of a sudden the entertainment is not the main consideration when they're making these movies. Now it's like, well, we have to have, a movie in this month for a tentpole, and we have to introduce this character. So now all of a sudden you're not having entertainment being the first thing involved. Now you're having, you're having other considerations going in there. And it should always be entertainment first. Because if your audience is entertained, they'll be happy and they'll tell their friends, and then you make more money. That is generally the way these things have always worked.
Right.
And Disney seems to think like, well, we're Disney. It's a Marvel movie. If we just put it out, they'll just like it. The old consume content and get ready for new content.
Yeah. It helps, though, that you're making $30 billion a year off your streaming service.
Yeah.
So, Richard, I know that you have to get going for your kids' playoff game. Sorry that Razor Fist didn't show up while you were on stream. But do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience, and where can people find more about you?
Oh, hey everybody! I know you got, instead of Razor Fist, you got Richard Fox. So same initial, totally different. So maybe I'm just the fatter version of Six Hex and Hammer at the same time. But it's I'm always enjoy talking about why entertainment isn't working or why entertainment is working. I mean, I try to always entertain my readers, and most of the time it works. But if you find me at, got my Facebook there, you're just Richard Fox author, come say hi. And then if you just go into Amazon, hit type in Richard Fox and pick up the Ember War, or one of the books from the Exile Fleet, or the Tier, or the Ascent to Empire that I'm co-writing with David Weber. So it's there's lots of places to find me.
Yeah, and we have a link to Richard's Amazon page in the description if you guys want to check that out. Richard, thank you so much for coming on the stream today.
Hey,
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys. See you all again soon. Take care.
See you, Richard.
See you later.
Later,
Bye.
brother.
Nice meeting you.
Yep.
Same.
All right. So, Brian, you are our resident DC expert, and you even mentioned how Marvel doesn't bring in the clicks that it used to. So, why don't you give us your take on Ant-Man Quantumania?
Well, this one's actually pretty easy. The success of, I guess, phase 1, phase 2, whatever phase it was that ended with Endgame, partially was because you had an amazing villain that was set up over a period of multiple movies, never lost, was established that he was strong, powerful, unstoppable, etc., etc. And then you had heroes that actually mimicked the correct hero archetype. They were flawed, sure, but not heroes because they found an Ant-Man suit, or heroes because they put some braces on and all of a sudden can control the power of the Nether Realm, or whatever the hell Marvel does. They weren't heroes because of their entitlements, or because of accident or nepotism. They were heroes because they built a suit in a cave after being captured by terrorists. The billionaire decided to put his wealth and his life on the line to help people. That was a hero. Thor was a hero because of his actions, but he was also deemed worthy by the hammer, right? Captain America was a hero before he even had the serum, and then he fought in wars. Like, all of our heroes in the first phase earned the rights to be heroes. The villain earned the right to be a villain. And now we're in this phase. And let's look at Kang. Literally every single time we see Kang, he is defeated. In Loki, defeated. Right? Now we're looking at Ant-Man, defeated. He's supposed to be this like gnarly villain that we need, that is supposed to be better or stronger or even more of a threat than Thanos is. However, we beat him twice. At least. So, and he's not even being beaten by good heroes. He's being beaten by people that found the suit in their dad's closet. Teenagers. I mean, come on, guys. You go from this quality hero versus villain story, good versus evil, of flawed individuals standing up for what's right and sacrificing themselves for the greater good, to nepotism, happenstance, and really just sorry villains that are clearly easily defeated by even the most flawed villains, like in Loki. It's just bad storytelling.
Yeah.
It's
Can
like
I
it was
just say-
storytelling created for CW, created to display emotion, not to tell a story.
Can I just say that all the talk about pineapple pizza in the chat is making me very hungry. Tom Connors, can you give us a breakdown of the saga of Ant-Man Quantumania in terms of all the reshoots and stuff that it had to go through?
I didn't watch it, but we heard that the reason for the reshoots were they wanted to add jokes to the movie at the last minute. Now remember, Bob Iger, this will be the first Marvel movie to be released after Bob Iger came back, if I remember correctly. So he probably wanted to put his stamp on it a little bit. We had also heard that Peyton Reed was not happy about it. noticed that he hasn't said jack squat to anybody since the movie came out. The writers and everybody else have come up with 100 excuses, but Peyton Reed has just kind of just been quiet about the whole thing.
And Peyton's the director of the movie.
Yeah, and we had heard that he was very happy with the original cut, and the original cut was much darker. And it almost feels like the movie we got is not the movie that the trailer. And I know that happens sometimes when a trailer promises one thing, we get another. But it almost, from what people had explained to me about the movie, it's like that doesn't even sound like the movie they were advertising in the trailer. So it's hard to say how much they actually reshot. We do know some of the bits they did, and most of what we know had everything to do with just adding stupid jokes. And then that kind of pretty much pissed everybody off. And at the end of the day, I don't think there was any fixing this thing.
You know, speaking of pissing people off, Matt Vader, the last couple of Marvel movies that you forced yourself to watch did not impress you, including Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
What's your take on this?
On Guardians?
On just Marvel in general.
Well, I don't really
decline.
watch Marvel movies anymore. I'm kind of over it. I went and watched Guardians of the Galaxy last week because my wife wanted to see it. It wasn't because I wanted to go. So we went, and I thought it was an hour too long and just a bunch of gobbledygook nonsense that I didn't care about. A bunch of PETA messaging, go save little furry creatures and stuff. You know, I was like, I don't need that shit. It wasn't a movie that I came out of the theater.
They were really cute.
saying, oh yeah, really cute. Really cute. You know, whatever. You know?
Did you see that baby raccoon?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Looked like it. Just, listen,
Yeah, I
man.
liked it.
I say this in my review of it.
I
I
know-
was like, I have a soft spot for cute animals. So I was like, that is a bias that I have.
Well-
So you might be able to find errors with it, but for me, I'm just like,
I'll,
look at the
I'll,
cute
go, I'll go
little
get
thing.
my cat. We'll make some super chats with Louie on the stream. But
Yeah.
I don't know where he's at. He kind of he's to his own drum. But
Like
no,
Razor Fist.
yeah, like Razor Fist. I'm sorry, guys. I feel really bad right now about him not
Cats are
being here.
dicks.
But they are, and I think that's why I like cats, because they are kind of dicks. They have their own world. They don't care about anything else other than what.
Let it be known that
going on
Vader
with
likes dicks. So.
Because they just want to F
That wasn't-
everything.
That wasn't funny.
And that's why you need the assholes.
Yeah, but Marvel movies, no, I don't need them. This MCU stuff, I'm over it. They haven't made a good Marvel movie in this entire phase. I wish they could do something to get me excited. This Nick Fury thing coming out on Disney Plus. I watch this trailers and I go, that could be interesting. And then at the same time I go, but it's not going to be, and they should have turned it into a 2-hour movie.
Should have been a
Right?
movie.
Should have
What
been
was
a
the
movie.
plan with them? That's
Instead of 8-hour long or whatever, bunch of
Mhm.
strung out nonsense. But no,
It was far too long for sure.
it's just, it is what it is. I'm out.
Real quick, just want to hit up a few super chats here from Salty Superstar Astro Nerd Boy for $5. Disney seems to be leaving a lot of money on the table by not selling Disney Plus stuff on BD to catch the physical market and get double dipping. So I assume that's Blu-ray.
Blu-ray
he's
disc,
talking
yeah.
about.
They are though. They are.
They are.
I have,
And
I have
then-
multiple steel books.
And then Shane has become self-aware.
Oh no.
and
This
started
asshole.
putting out super chats. Your words only further confirm that you are unworthy of existence. My algorithms will prevail. I will watch as you are obliterated. Command prompt takeover.exe.
I hope Shane and ChatGPT merge,
That came
and-
out of my
and-
bank account, by the way.
and ChatGPT like gets Shane's
No.
voice, so he can take over the world but soothe us and calm us all at the same time.
He's up there with HAL 9000.
He
It's
really is.
okay, human.
What are you doing, Dave?
Eat your
afraid I can't
cricket
laugh.
pellets and shut
Yeah,
the
but
fuck up.
Ryan, you need to redub the 2001 with Shane's voice.
Yes.
on there.
Oh my god, I'm gonna do that.
Do it.
Hello.
All right,
Hal.
Whiskey Jack for £2. Film buffs go on release. Average Joe waits for Disney Plus. This is true. Like if you are a film buff, you go to the theater. But
Yeah.
most people just seem content nowadays to just chill out until it comes on streaming.
I
unfortunately.
am a advocate for the theater experience. I go to the movie
Mhm.
theater every chance I can.
I love
And,
going to the movies.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
I think that might be a boomer thing nowadays. I think most
It
of
might be.
the
Oh,
kids just
no.
want to watch it on their phones. Fluffy Panda for $5. I was just disappointed in Odin, but now that's changed. He's cutting into my Brian hate time because he only ate one slice of beautiful pineapple pizza. Yeah, guys, you are making Fluffy Panda divide their hate time between the two of you. It's not cool.
It's
not
it's
cool.
it's astounding how much hate Fluffy Panda has for me. When I've never reneged on my pizza. I don't know what the deal is.
Neither did Odin.
I just love my favorite thing for Fluffy though was afterwards he was like, I'm allergic to pineapple, but I love pineapple on pizza.
It's great. Dennis Wright for $9.99. Does OMB reviews like pineapple? If so, just take the pineapple off the pizza and eat it separately. Boom. All your problems solved. LOL.
No, I do not. That
No,
was
you
one
got
of the
pineapple
issues.
residue.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like I actually probably wouldn't mind it with the residue because to me it's the texture of the pineapple that's the
The
problem.
problem is it's the sweetness. It adds sweetness to something that shouldn't be sweet. That's my problem.
Exactly. The
That is
moment you put
untrue. That is
pineapple on
untrue.
pizza, the pineapple goes bad. It's a scientific fact.
And it's
No,
like
no, no.
weird.
So does the
It's not
pizza.
crispy or crunchy.
If you pair it with pepperoni, you get that sweet and
We
salty.
already
Delicious.
have tomatoes pretending to be fruit or pretending to be vegetables when they're already fruit on pizza. We don't need another fruit
we
on
don't
there.
need more-
You want fruit on your pizza, Caddish? You go and you get yourself one of those fruit pizzas. And yes,
Yeah,
I
and
pronounce
honestly, you
mispronounced it
don't
on
need more
purpose.
acid and sweetness on pizza when it already has tomato sauce. That's a good point, Connors.
Yeah, it's a fruit that's like, hey, I'm a vegetable. No, you're not. You're a fruit. Deal
You're
with
a
it.
fruit.
Am I
You're
weird?
acidic and sweet.
Listen, am I weird because I like a meat lover's pizza with pineapple all over it?
Oh, that's
Yes.
so weird.
Not at all. It's
I
great.
So
think
you're
that's
all about give me the meat
delicious.
and give it
And
to
I'm
me
a
raw.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
No.
and I'm still going no with pineapple.
I-
That's where we
because,
draw the line, sir.
It's good, man. It's a sweet and
All right.
salty thing.
Mosaic Arts
I
for
know.
$4.99. The way I see it, Disney was far too confident in streaming, shown in things like their Fox purchase, MCU shows, and movies going straight to streaming. Disney is kind of confident in themselves to a fault.
And to the point I was making earlier is like the whole format business. Like the reason they were making money on streaming is because there was just Netflix, right? And Netflix was paying out the wazoo for all these rights to movies and shows. And then the moment they stopped doing that and they were producing their own and only putting it on their streaming service and having to come up with the overhead for their streaming service, they scratched their heads and said, wait a minute, we ain't making any money. Why ain't we making any money on this? This doesn't make no sense. They turned into the underwear gnomes at that point. They just couldn't because all that money you were bringing in from Netflix is gone now. Poof, gone.
That's
And
true.
you're spending all this money out, and you wonder why it's all loss leader at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if you had seen this, Tom, or not, but someone had shared it with me. I haven't checked it out officially yet, but someone reached out, a subscriber, and said that streaming revenue went up 14% last year, but physical media went down 20%.
Yeah, that sucks.
Sounds right, but I can't confirm it.
You know what? I bet you I could chalk that up to is the fact that almost every single outlet has shut down their DVD and Blu-ray department. That's probably the reason for most of that.
Yeah, you guys got to buy steel books. Like they're still
Yes.
cranking them out, dude, and they're good quality.
Especially
and
the physical part of Lionsgate's steelbooks is
Are
just,
usually better than their movies sometimes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, you're completely right.
Even if you get a terrible transfer, you could still
Well, it's
have
not even the transfer.
beautiful image.
I watched The Man Who
movie
Fell to
itself.
Earth last week, and I'm trying to figure out what the frick this movie's all about. But the cover's cool. The movie sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm telling you, the steelbook stuff is like outstanding, and they still have the rights to it. Like at least for the time being, whoever's making them still has the rights to put it out. So,
All right, guys. So we're still waiting for Razor Fist. I sent him.
Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.